She was 6 when she fed a dying wolf with her own hands. The boy lay crumpled in the snow behind the grain shed, blood darkening the white beneath him. His breathing came in shallow gasps. His clothes were torn, his skin blue from cold. Lyric had seen dead things before. Rabbits, deer, smaller wolves, but never something that looked at her with such raw desperation. She should have run. Her mother would beat her for being outside after dark. But the boy's eyes held hers, silver even in the moonless night, and she couldn't move. So she did the only thing a child knows how to do when faced with suffering. She shared her bread. He ate slowly, fingers trembling. She wrapped him in the blanket she'd stolen from the laundry line, the rough wool scratching against her own cold arms. He didn't thank her with words. He thanked her with teeth. The bite came fast. His mouth latched onto her wrist, fangs breaking skin, and she screamed, not from pain, but from shock. He held on for 3 heartbeats, then released her, blood on his lips. "I'll come for you," he whispered, voice barely human. Then he was gone, vanished into the trees, leaving only the blanket, the blood, and a promise she would spend 20 years trying to forget. 20 years later, Lyric stood on an auction platform in chains, and the man who walked through those doors was no longer a boy. He was a king. The hall fell silent the moment he entered. Not the polite silence of respect, but the primal hush of prey recognizing a predator. Theron Blackfang didn't wear a crown. He didn't need one. Authority radiated from him like heat from a flame, and every wolf in that room dropped their gaze. Except Lyric. She stared. She couldn't help it. Because beneath the scars, beneath the coldness, beneath the rage barely contained in those silver eyes, she knew that face. The auctioneer, Maris, cleared his throat. "Your Majesty, we weren't expecting." "The auction is over." Theron's voice cut through the air like a blade. "This woman belongs to me." Maris blinked. "But Your Majesty, the bidding hasn't." Did I stutter? The wolf in Theron's eyes flashed silver. Not a threat. A promise. Maris went pale. "We have a contract with the auction house," Maris stammered. "There are protocols." Theron took one step forward. Just one. But it was enough to make 3 wolves in the front row bolt for the exit. "You will be compensated. Generously. Now leave before I change my mind about your continued existence." The hall emptied in minutes. Chairs scraped. Doors slammed. The smell of fear lingered long after the last wolf fled. Only Lyric remained on the platform, still chained, still silent, watching this stranger who claimed her like property. Theron approached slowly. He waved away the guards flanking him. When they hesitated, his growl sent them scattering. Alone now. Just the 2 of them in a room built for spectacle. He reached for her wrists. The chains were iron, thick as her thumb, meant to hold even the strongest wolf. He snapped them with his bare hands like they were made of dry branches. Lyric flinched. Not from the sound. From the ease. She didn't speak. She didn't look at him. She kept her eyes on the floor, on the broken chains, on anything but those silver eyes that stirred something ancient in her chest. Theron crouched. Slowly. Until they were eye level. Lyric Moonshadow. Her name in his mouth felt like a key turning in a lock she'd forgotten existed. She forced herself to look up. His face was older now. Harder. A scar ran from his left temple to his jaw. Another crossed his throat. His hair was longer, darker. But his eyes, those silver eyes, they hadn't changed at all. "You," she whispered. "Me," he confirmed. The memory came unbidden. Snow. Blood. A boy who ate her bread and bit her wrist. A promise made in the dark. Lyric pulled away, breaking the moment. "You're the king. I'm the wolf you saved. That was 20 years ago. I thought you were dead. I thought about you every day." She laughed. A bitter, broken sound. "If that were true, you would have come sooner. You wouldn't have let me rot in that pack for 2 decades. You wouldn't have waited until I was sold like livestock to make your grand entrance." Theron's jaw clenched. She saw the muscle jump beneath his skin. I searched. Every moon. Every season. They hid you well. Moved you from territory to territory. I sent scouts to every corner of my kingdom. When I finally found out where you were, they'd already brought you here. So you bought me instead. Her voice could have cut glass. How romantic. I saved you. You own me. That's not the same thing. Theron stood, offering his hand. Come with me. I'll give you a room in the palace. Safety. Freedom. Everything you've been denied. And what do you want in return? Lyric's voice was cold, empty. She'd heard promises before. They all came with prices. Theron hesitated. For the first time since entering the hall, he looked uncertain. I want you to remember. I want you to see that I kept my vow. I don't remember any vow. His hand dropped. The vulnerability in his face hardened back into stone. Then I'll remind you. Lyric stood, her legs unsteady after hours in chains. She met his eyes, refusing to be the first to look away. I don't need reminding. I need to be left alone. Theron stepped closer. Close enough that she could smell pine and frost on his skin. Close enough that her wolf stirred for the first time in years. That, he said quietly, is the one thing I can't give you. Would you go with him? Would you trust a king who claims he's been searching for 20 years? Or would you see only another man trying to own you? Tell me in the comments below. And if this story has its claws in you already, share it with someone who loves a tale that bites back. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens when Lyric steps into that palace, because some promises are written in blood, and blood doesn't forget. How was your day, by the way? I hope it was better than Lyric's. The Nightfang fortress rose from the mountainside like a tooth breaking through stone. Lyric had heard stories about this place. Every wolf in the territories had. They said the walls were built from the bones of traitors. They said the king walked the halls at night, still hunting enemies that no longer existed. They said if you listened closely, you could hear the screams of those who'd challenged his rule. Looking at it now, Lyric believed every word. Silver banners snapped in the wind, each bearing the Blackfang crest, a wolf's skull crowned with thorns. Guard towers punctured the sky at every corner. The gates were iron, twice as tall as any wolf in shifted form, and they groaned when they opened, like the fortress itself was reluctant to let her in. Theron walked ahead, his stride purposeful. Lyric followed, her bare feet silent on the cold stone. Servants lined the corridors. They didn't bow. They stared. The king paid a fortune. She's nobody. Common born. The whispers followed her like shadows. Lyric kept her eyes forward, her spine straight. She'd learned long ago not to react to cruelty. Reaction gave them power. Theron led her through a maze of hallways, up 3 flights of stairs, and into a wing that felt quieter. Les watched. He stopped at a set of double doors carved with images of running wolves. These are yours, he said simply. He pushed the doors open. Lyric stepped inside and forgot how to breathe. The room was larger than the entire cabin she'd grown up in. Silk sheets covered a bed built for 2. A fireplace crackled with fresh wood. Windows stretched from floor to ceiling, overlooking gardens she couldn't name, filled with flowers she'd never seen. A prison, but a beautiful one. Theron stood in the doorway, watching her reaction. You're free to go anywhere in the palace. The gardens, the library, the kitchens, wherever you wish. You're under my protection. No one will touch you. Except you? Lyric challenged, turning to face him. Theron's eyes darkened. Not with anger. With something rawer. I will never touch you without your permission. Lyric didn't believe him. Every man she'd known had taken what he wanted. Permission was a word they used to make themselves feel noble. I'll have food sent up, Theron said quietly. If you need anything, pull the cord by the bed. Someone will come. He left before she could respond. The doors closed with a soft click. Lyric was alone. She moved through the room like a ghost exploring a body it no longer recognized. She found a bath already drawn, steam rising from water so clear it looked like glass. Clean clothes lay folded on a chair, soft fabrics in shades of gray and silver. A table near the window held food, bread, roasted meat, fruits she'd only seen at market stalls she couldn't afford. She hadn't eaten a real meal in weeks. She ate mechanically, tasting nothing. The food could have been ash for all she cared. But her body needed it, so she forced it down. When she finished, she bathed. The hot water made her cry. She didn't know why. Maybe because it had been so long since anything had touched her without hurting. Maybe because kindness felt more dangerous than cruelty. Cruelty you could prepare for. Kindness left you exposed. She scrubbed her skin until it was raw, washing away the auction house, the chains, the hands that had inspected her like livestock. When she finally emerged, wrapped in a towel softer than anything she'd ever owned, she felt lighter. Emptier. That night, she dreamed. Snow. Blood. A wolf dying in the forbidden woods. She was 6 again, small and trembling, standing over a boy who looked more dead than alive. His breathing rattled in his chest. His silver eyes tracked her movements like prey watching a predator. "Why are you helping me?" His voice was barely human, more growl than word. "Because no one helped my mother when she was dying." The truth, raw and simple. Her mother had bled out in their cabin while the pack healer refused to come. Common-born wolves didn't deserve healing. That's what they'd said. The boy's eyes locked onto hers. Something passed between them, not words, not touch, but something deeper. A warmth spread through her chest, radiating outward, filling spaces she hadn't known were empty. She sang to him, an old lullaby her mother used to hum. The boy's breathing steadied. His eyes closed. When he bit her wrist, she felt no fear, only recognition. Lyric woke gasping, her hand clutching the scar on her wrist. Morning light streamed through the windows. For a moment, she forgot where she was. The silk sheets felt wrong. The warmth felt wrong. Everything felt wrong. A sound from the sitting room made her freeze. She emerged from the bedroom slowly, still wearing the nightgown someone had left for her. Theron sat at a small table near the window, breakfast laid out before him. He looked up when she entered. "You didn't have to," she started. "I wanted to." They ate in tense silence. Lyric noticed the way he moved, careful, controlled, like he was afraid of scaring her. He didn't stare. He didn't demand conversation. He simply existed in the same space, giving her room to breathe. "Tell me what you remember," Theron said quietly. Lyric set down her cup. "Fragments. Snow. A dying wolf. I thought it was a dream." "It wasn't." Theron leaned back, his expression unreadable. 20 years ago, I was banished from my own kingdom. My half-brother wanted me dead. Not just exiled, erased. He poisoned me, sent hunters to finish what the poison started. I was starving, wounded, barely alive when you found me. Lyric's heart pounded. The dream felt too real now. You fed me, kept me warm, sang to me. Theron's voice softened. My wolf bonded to you that night. Bonded? Theron stood, slowly lifting his shirt. A scar marked his chest, directly over his heart. 3 claw marks, faint but silver, glowing slightly in the morning light. Do you have a mark like this? Lyric's breath caught. Her hand moved to her wrist instinctively, covering the scar she'd hidden her whole life. 3 claw marks. Faint but silver. She pulled back her sleeve. Theron's eyes found the mark. Something in his face broke. Not shattered, softened. Like a wall crumbling. You do remember, he whispered. I remember the bite, Lyric said, her voice shaking. I remember the cold. I remember thinking you would die. But I don't understand what it means. Theron sat back down, suddenly looking exhausted. It means you saved more than my life. You gave my wolf a reason to survive. And when a wolf bonds like that, completely, instinctively, it's permanent. Lyric stared at the matching scars. Hers. His. Connected across 20 years. Why didn't my pack tell me? She asked. Theron's jaw clenched. Because they knew. They knew what you meant to me. And they used it. Theron didn't ask. He commanded. You'll attend dinner tonight. Lyric looked up from the book she'd been pretending to read. No. It wasn't a request. I don't care what it was. I'm not going. Theron crossed the sitting room in 3 strides, his presence filling the space like smoke fills a burning room. If you hide, they'll think you're weak. And weakness invites attack. I don't care what they think. You should. His voice dropped lower. Because in this court, perception is survival. You either show strength, or you become prey. Lyric set the book down. I've been prey my whole life. I know how to survive. Not here. Not among wolves who smile while they sharpen their teeth. Theron's eyes held hers. Trust me on this. You need to be seen. She wanted to refuse. She wanted to stay locked in these beautiful rooms, invisible and safe. But something in his tone made her hesitate. This wasn't about control. This was about protection. Fine, she said. But if anyone touches me, I'm leaving. No one will touch you. I'll make sure of it. The gown arrived an hour before dinner. Dark green silk that caught the light like water. It fit perfectly, hugging her frame in ways that made her feel exposed and powerful at once. The neckline was modest, but the fabric moved like liquid, drawing attention without demanding it. Lyric stared at herself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman looking back. A servant knocked softly. His Majesty is waiting, miss. Lyric took a breath. Then another. Then she opened the door. Theron stood in the corridor, dressed in black with silver threading that matched his eyes. When he saw her, something shifted in his expression. Not hunger. Recognition. You look. He stopped, searching for the word. Ridiculous. Dangerous. He offered his arm. After a moment, she took it. The royal dining hall was built to intimidate. Vaulted ceilings disappeared into shadow. Long tables stretched the length of the room, polished wood reflecting candlelight like still water. Banners hung from every wall, family crests, territorial markers, reminders of power. And at those tables sat wolves. Not the broken, desperate wolves from the auction house. These were nobles, warriors, advisors. Wolves who wore silk instead of scars, who killed with words instead of claws. Every eye turned when Lyric entered on Theron's arm. The conversations didn't stop. They shifted. Whispers replaced laughter. Stares replaced smiles. Theron led her to the head table, seating her at his right. A place of honor. A target. A man sat across from them, broad-shouldered, gray-haired, with eyes like frozen lakes. He watched Lyric with the focus of a hunter studying prey. Valdis, Theron said by way of introduction. My beta. Valdis, this is Lyric Moonshadow. Valdis inclined his head, the gesture somehow both respectful and dismissive. Miss Moonshadow. Welcome to Nightfang. His tone suggested she was anything but welcome. A woman sat beside Valdis, beautiful in the way a blade is beautiful, sharp, cold, deadly. Her gown was crimson, her hair midnight black, her smile a warning. Lady Seraphine, Theron said, his voice notably cooler. Your Majesty. Seraphine's eyes slid to Lyric. And who is this lovely creature you've brought to court? A guest, Theron said firmly. How wonderful. We so rarely get common visitors. The emphasis on common was deliberate. A cut disguised as courtesy. An older man sat at the far end, gray beard, ceremonial robes, eyes that missed nothing. Elder Ronan. He didn't speak, but his stare said enough. The meal began. Lyric ate in silence, hyper-aware of every glance, every whisper. The food tasted like ash. The wine burned. Valdis leaned forward, his voice cutting through the ambient noise. Miss Moonshadow, what pack do you hail from? Lyric set down her fork. Silver Mist. Ah, yes. Valdis's smile didn't reach his eyes. The pack that fell into ruin after Alpha Torhen's death. How unfortunate. Very unfortunate, Lyric said quietly. Lady Seraphine's voice dripped false sympathy. And now you're here, in the king's palace, dressed in silk and seated at his table. How convenient. The implication hung in the air like smoke. Gold digger. Opportunist. Whore. Lyric's hands clenched in her lap. She felt Theron tense beside her. Lyric is my guest. His voice cut through the room like a whip crack. You will treat her with respect. All of you. Silence fell. Even the servants stopped moving. Valdis raised his glass. Of course, Your Majesty. No disrespect intended. But the damage was done. Lyric felt every judgmental stare, every unspoken accusation. She didn't belong here. They knew it. She knew it. The rest of the meal passed in strained politeness. Lyric didn't eat. She didn't speak. She simply endured. The moment dinner ended, she fled. Not to her rooms. To the gardens. She needed air. Space. Anything to escape the suffocating weight of their disdain. The garden was dark, lit only by moonlight and scattered lanterns. Lyric found a bench hidden among flowering vines and sat, her hands shaking. I shouldn't have forced you to attend. She didn't turn. She recognized his voice, his scent. Theron sat beside her, not touching, just close enough that she felt his presence. They hate me, she said. They fear you. Why would they fear me? Theron leaned back, his gaze on the moon. Because you have my attention. And in this court, that's power. Lyric laughed bitterly. I have nothing. No title, no family, no strength they respect. What power could I possibly have? Theron turned to face her. You have me. The words settled between them like stones dropped into still water. That's not power, Lyric whispered. That's danger. Same thing, sometimes. They sat in silence. The garden smelled of night-blooming flowers, of damp earth and distant rain. Lyric's breathing steadied. Theron reached for her hand. The moment his skin touched hers, the bond flared. Heat. Longing. Recognition. It burned through her like wildfire, erasing thought, erasing fear, leaving only raw need. Lyric gasped. Theron's eyes flashed silver. He leaned closer, his hand moving to her face, fingers tracing her jaw. For a moment, she almost let him kiss her. She wanted it, craved it. The bond screamed for completion. But she pulled away. I can't. Not yet. Theron's jaw clenched. His hand dropped. But he nodded, slowly, painfully. I'll wait. For how long? As long as it takes. Lyric stood, her legs unsteady. She needed distance. Needed to think without the bond clouding her judgment. I should go. Lyric. She stopped. They'll come for you now. Valdis, Seraphine, the others. They see you as a threat to their influence. Be careful. I've survived worse than nobles. Not like these. These wolves don't kill with claws. They destroy reputations, spread lies, turn allies into enemies. It's slower. More painful. Lyric looked back at him. Why do you keep them around? Because a king needs advisors. Even dangerous ones. His expression hardened. But if they touch you, politics won't save them. The nightmare came like claws through fabric. Lyric woke screaming, her hands clutching at sheets drenched in sweat. Her heart hammered against her ribs. The images wouldn't fade. They clung to her vision like smoke, refusing to dissipate. Fire. Screaming. Her mother's body on the cabin floor, blood pooling beneath her. Soldiers in silver armor tearing through silver mist. Homes burning. Wolves running. Children crying. A girl, small, terrified, clutching a stolen blanket, fleeing into the forbidden forest. Finding a wolf dying in the snow. Blood on her hands. So much blood. Silver eyes staring up at her. A voice barely human. Kill me. Please. No. The door burst open. Theron stood in the doorway, chest heaving, eyes wild. He was dressed only in loose pants, his torso bare, scars visible in the moonlight streaming through her windows. He looked ready to fight. What happened? His voice was sharp, urgent. Lyric couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. The images kept replaying: fire, blood, death. Theron scanned the room, finding no threat. His gaze settled on her, and something in his expression softened. He took a cautious step inside. "May I come closer?" She nodded, still shaking. He crossed the room but didn't touch her. Instead, he lowered himself to the floor beside her bed, sitting with his back against the wall, giving her space. "Tell me what you saw." Lyric wrapped her arms around herself. "My mother. She was dying. The pack healer refused to come. She bled out in our cabin while I held her hand." Theron's jaw tightened, but he remained silent. Then soldiers came. Silver armor. They burned everything. Killed anyone who resisted. I ran. I ran into the forest and her voice broke. "I found you." "Keep going." "You were dying. Poisoned. Your skin was gray. You kept asking me to kill you, to end it. But I couldn't. I didn't know how." Theron's voice was quiet. "So you saved me instead." "I gave you bread. Wrapped you in a blanket I stole. Sang to you because my mother used to say singing kept the death spirits away." Lyric looked at him, tears streaming down her face. It felt like a dream. Like something I imagined to cope with losing her. It wasn't a dream. Theron's eyes held hers. That was a memory. Your mind buried it to protect you. Why would I need protection from a memory? Because of what came after. Theron stood, moving to the window. He stared out at the moon, his voice steady but distant, like he was reciting a story that happened to someone else. 20 years ago, I was Crown Prince of the Blood Crown Kingdom, heir to the most powerful pack in the territories. My father was king. My mother had died giving birth to me. When I was 10, my father remarried. Lyric listened, her breathing slowly steadying. Queen Seraphine was beautiful. Cunning. She had a son from her first marriage, my stepbrother, Kale. She wanted him to inherit the throne. I was in the way. Lady Seraphine, Lyric whispered, making the connection. Her niece. The same bloodline. The same ambition. Theron's hands clenched into fists. When I turned 18, Seraphine accused me of treason. Said I was plotting to kill my father and seize power. She planted evidence, letters, weapons, false testimony from wolves she'd bought. Did your father believe her? He wanted to. Theron's voice went cold. I was a reminder of my mother, the woman he'd loved and lost. Looking at me hurt him. So when Seraphine gave him a reason to send me away, he took it. He banished you. To the cursed wastelands. A death sentence disguised as mercy. Theron turned from the window. But Seraphine wasn't satisfied with banishment. She sent assassins. They poisoned me first, wolfsbane mixed with nightshade. Then they hunted me. Lyric's hand moved to her wrist, to the scar. I escaped into Silver Mist territory. I was dying. The poison was turning my wolf feral. I was losing myself, becoming more beast than man. I wanted death. Begged for it. But I found you. You found me. Theron's expression softened. You were so small. Terrified. Your mother had just died. You should have been grieving, hiding. But instead, you helped a dying wolf you didn't know. I remember your eyes. They were silver, even in the dark. You fed me. You kept me warm. But it was your voice that saved me. You sang to me. An old lullaby. It cut through the feral haze, anchored my wolf, gave me something to hold on to. Lyric stood from the bed, walking toward him. What happened after? I survived the night. When dawn came, I was strong enough to leave. But before I did, I made you a vow. What vow? Theron closed the distance between them. I said, my life is yours. When I reclaim my throne, I will return for you. The words unlocked something deep in Lyric's memory. She heard them in a younger voice, desperate and sincere. She felt the cold snow, the dying wolf's warmth, the promise that seemed impossible. You bit my wrist, she whispered, touching the scar. A blood bond. Among wolves, it's sacred. It means my life is tied to yours. Your survival is my survival. Your pain is my pain. We're connected. But we're not mates. Theron's eyes burned into hers, silver catching the moonlight. Aren't we? The question hung between them like lightning waiting to strike. The bond doesn't lie, Lyric. It chose you. My wolf chose you. Not because of power or politics or obligation. Because even dying, even feral, even losing everything, it recognized you. Lyric's breath hitched. I don't understand. You will. Theron reached for her hand slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. When I reclaimed my throne, I kept my promise. I searched for you. Every territory, every pack. But Silver Mist had fallen. The pack scattered. And you disappeared. Someone hid me. Yes. Why? Theron's expression darkened. Because they knew what you meant to me. And they used it. Lyric pulled her hand back. Who? Who would hide me? That's what we need to find out. The weight of it settled over her. 20 years of running, hiding, being moved from place to place. 20 years of feeling like she didn't belong anywhere. And all of it, was because of a promise made to a dying wolf in the snow. You really looked for me. Her voice was barely a whisper. Every day. And when you found me, I was being sold like livestock. Pain flashed across Theron's face. I would have burned that entire auction house to the ground if they'd tried to stop me from taking you. Lyric believed him. She saw it in his eyes, the violence barely restrained, the wolf that would kill to protect what was his. What was his? The thought should have terrified her. Instead, it made her feel safer than she'd felt in 20 years. I need time, she said quietly, to process this, to understand what it means. Take all the time you need. Theron moved toward the door, then stopped. But know this, the bond is real. What we are to each other is real. You can deny it, fight it, run from it. But it won't change the truth. What truth? He looked back at her, his expression raw. That I've been yours since the moment you chose to save me. 3 days after the nightmare, Theron summoned her to his study. Lyric had never been to this part of the palace. The corridors here were quieter, darker, lined with portraits of dead kings whose eyes seemed to follow her movements. Guards stood at attention but said nothing. Their silence felt heavier than words. The study door was open. Theron stood behind a massive desk covered in papers, his expression carved from stone. Close the door. She did. The click of the latch felt final. Sit. Lyric remained standing. What is this about? Theron's eyes met hers. I sent scouts to investigate your sale. To find out why the Silver Mist Pack would auction off one of their own. He paused. What they discovered makes me want to burn that territory to ash. Lyric's stomach dropped. What did they find? Theron slid a stack of documents across the desk. Letters. Contracts. Records written in careful script. Lyric picked up the first letter. The handwriting was familiar. Elegant. Cold. Maris. Her stepmother. The letter was addressed to a noble family in the Eastern Territories, dated 3 years ago. The girl will be of age soon. She has no wolf strength to speak of, but she is obedient and undamaged. I expect a fair price for her, given her lineage connection to the late healer Alira. Lyric's hands shook. She picked up another letter. Regarding the mark on her wrist, I've kept it hidden. If discovered, it could complicate matters. The King's scouts have been sniffing around our borders for years. I will not risk losing control of what remains of this pack because of one worthless girl. Another letter. The auction house in Shadowfen has agreed to handle the transaction discreetly. We will receive payment in full once she is sold. Ensure no word of this reaches the king's court. Lyric set the letters down. Her vision blurred. Not from tears. From rage. They knew. Her voice was hollow. Maris knew about the mark. She knew you were searching for me. And she hid me anyway. Theron's jaw clenched so hard she heard his teeth grind. She didn't just hide you. She sold you the moment she thought she could get away with it. Used you as currency to pay off pact debts. How much? Lyric's voice was eerily calm. What? How much did they sell me for? Theron hesitated. Lyric. How much? 12,000 silver marks. The number hung in the air. 12,000 silver marks. The price of a decent horse. A modest home. A daughter they never wanted. Lyric laughed. The sound was sharp, broken. I always knew they hated me. I just didn't realize how much. Theron moved around the desk, his fury barely controlled. They sold you. Their own blood. I was never their blood. Lyric turned away, staring at the window. I was my mother's shame. Explain. Lyric wrapped her arms around herself. The story felt like poison coming up her throat. My mother, Alira, was a healer. One of the best in Silver Mist. She could cure wolfsbane poisoning, set broken bones, deliver breech births. The pack needed her. Theron waited. She fell in love with a rogue wolf passing through the territory. He stayed for 3 months. They were happy. Then he disappeared. Lyric's voice went flat. She found out she was pregnant a week after he left. You. Me. Lyric turned to face him. The pack elders wanted her to terminate the pregnancy. Rogue blood was considered tainted. But she refused. So they forced her to marry my stepfather, a warrior named Kale. He agreed because he wanted a healer in his home. Free medicine. Free care for his aging mother. Theron's expression darkened. He never loved her. Never even liked her. But he tolerated me because I was useful. I could help with the healing. Run errands. Stay quiet. Lyric's hands clenched into fists. When my mother died during the attack on Silver Mist, I thought maybe things would get better. Maybe he'd be kinder without her there to remind him of his shame. But he remarried. Within a month. To Maris. A woman from a rival pack looking to secure her position. She hated me on sight. Because you were proof of Alira's choice. Because I was alive and my mother wasn't. Lyric's voice cracked. Maris used to say I killed her. That if my mother hadn't been pregnant with rogue filth, she would have survived the attack. That I was a curse on their household. Theron crossed the distance between them in 2 strides. She was wrong. Was she? Lyric looked up at him. My mother died because she stayed behind to deliver someone's baby during the attack. If she hadn't been a healer, if she hadn't felt obligated to help, she would have run. She would have lived. Your mother died because she was brave. Because she chose to save a life instead of abandoning someone in need. That's not your fault. That's who she was. Lyric's walls cracked. Tears spilled over, hot and unbidden. I miss her. I know. They stood in silence. Theron didn't touch her, but his presence anchored her, kept her from shattering completely. When she finally spoke, her voice was steadier. What happens now? Theron's eyes flashed silver. They will never touch you again. You can't fight my battles for me. Watch me. The promise in his voice was absolute. Lyric believed him. Believed he would tear apart anyone who tried to hurt her. The thought should have terrified her. Instead, it made her feel powerful. Theron turned, pacing the length of the study. When he faced her again, something in his expression had shifted. Raw. Unguarded. I don't care about bloodlines or pack politics. You saved me when I was nothing. You gave me hope when I wanted to die. I've spent 20 years searching for you, and now that I've found you, I'm not letting you go. Lyric's breath caught. What are you saying? I'm saying I want you. Not as a debt. Not as a vow. As my mate. My equal. My queen. The words hit her like a physical force. Queen. The idea was absurd. Impossible. I'm nobody. I'm common born. Your court will never accept me. I don't give a damn what they accept. Theron stepped closer. I'm the king. I choose my queen. And I choose you. Lyric's heart hammered. The bond surged between them, pulling her toward him with a force that made her dizzy. She wanted to say yes. Wanted to close the distance and let the bond complete itself. But fear held her frozen. I can't. Her voice broke. I don't know how to be what you need. You already are. You don't understand. I've been nothing my whole life. A burden. A shame. Something to be hidden and sold. I don't know how to be anything else. Theron's hand cupped her face, his touch gentle despite the strength she knew he possessed. Then let me show you. Lyric closed her eyes. The bond screamed at her to surrender. To trust. To believe she could be more than what they'd made her. She stepped closer. Close enough to feel his warmth, to smell pine and frost and something uniquely him. Close enough that one more step would close the distance completely. I need time, she whispered. Theron's hand dropped. His jaw clenched, but he nodded. Take all the time you need. You say that now. But what happens when you realize I'm not worth the wait? That will never happen. You don't know that. Yes, Theron said quietly. Fire. Lyric woke to fire burning through her veins. Not fever. Not illness. Something primal. Ancient. Her wolf, dormant since childhood, silent as a grave, was clawing its way to the surface. She gasped, throwing off the sheets. Her skin felt too tight. Her senses sharpened until she could hear heartbeats in distant rooms, smell the wolves patrolling 3 floors below, taste the metal of fear in her own mouth. Heat. The realization hit her like cold water. She was going into heat. After years of nothing. No wolf, no instincts, no transformation. Her body had chosen now to awaken. 4 unmated she-wolves. Heat was dangerous. It drew every male wolf within a mile radius. Made them aggressive. Territorial. Feral. Lyric stumbled out of bed, trying to reach the door. She needed help. Needed someone to. Her legs gave out. She collapsed, her hands hitting the cold floor. Her vision blurred. Gold bled into her sight, her wolf's eyes surfacing. The bond flared in her chest, screaming a single name. Theron. Theron was in the war room when it hit him. Need. Fear. Desperation. The bond slammed into his chest with enough force to drive him to his knees. Every nerve in his body screamed one word. Lyric. He was moving before thought caught up. Out of the war room. Down 3 corridors. Shoving past guards who tried to ask questions. He took the stairs 3 at a time, his wolf surging to the surface. Valdis called after him. Your Majesty. Not now. The council meeting. I said not now. His growl sent 2 wolves skittering back. He didn't care. Didn't care about politics or meetings or propriety. His mate needed him. When he reached her door, 2 guards stood stationed outside. They moved to block him. Leave. His voice was pure alpha command. Now. They fled. Theron threw open the door. Lyric was on the floor, shaking. Her hair clung to her sweat-soaked skin. Her eyes flickered between gray and gold, human and wolf battling for dominance. She looked up at him, her expression wild. Theron, she gasped for air. I can't control. He was beside her in an instant, kneeling on the floor. I'm here. I've got you. The moment he touched her, the bond roared to life. Heat crashed over him. Her scent, lavender and moonlight and pure female wolf, hit him like a physical blow. His own wolf went insane. Claim her. Mark her. Make her ours. His hands shook with the effort of control. Every instinct screamed at him to pin her down, to bite, to complete the bond that had been waiting 20 years. But he fought it. Lyric, look at me. He cupped her face, forcing her flickering gaze to focus on his. I need you to breathe with me. Can you do that? She whimpered. The sound nearly broke him. I know it hurts. I know your wolf is fighting you. But I'm here. You're safe. He kept his voice steady, soothing, even as his own control frayed. Breathe. In. Out. Focus on my voice. It's too much. Tears streamed down her face. Make it stop. I can't stop a heat. But I can stay with you. If you'll let me. She nodded, desperate. Theron lifted her gently, carrying her to the bed. Every point of contact burned. Her body fit against his like they'd been carved from the same stone. His wolf howled. He laid her down. Then, fighting every primal urge, he lay beside her, wrapping himself around her fully clothed form. His arms caged her. His chest pressed against her back. His legs tangled with hers. What are you doing? Her voice was breathless. Grounding you. The bond responds to proximity. Your wolf recognizes mine. It should calm her. Should. I've never done this before. Lyric laughed weakly. The sound gave him hope. He pulled her closer, burying his face in her hair. Her scent was overwhelming. His wolf clawed at his control, demanding he take what was his by right. But Theron held firm. He ran his hand through her hair, slow and soothing. Not sexual. Not claiming. Just comfort. Presence. Breathe with me, he murmured. In. Out. Match my rhythm. She tried. Her breathing hitched, stuttered, then gradually steadied. The trembling in her limbs eased. Hours passed. Lyric's heat ebbed and flowed in waves. Sometimes she was calm, her wolf settling under Theron's presence. Other times, the fever spiked and she writhed against him, whimpering. Theron never wavered. He held her through every wave, whispered to her when the pain peaked, stroked her hair when she cried. And when his own control threatened to snap, when his wolf demanded he claim her, he focused on her breathing, her heartbeat, the trust she was placing in him. Near dawn, the fever spiked again. Lyric turned in his arms, her eyes pure gold, her body pressing against his. Please, her voice was desperate. I need. Theron's control cracked. His growl vibrated through his chest. I know. Then why? She pressed closer, her hands fisting in his shirt. Why won't you? Because you're not in your right mind. His voice was strained, barely human. And I won't take advantage of that. I want you. Her lips brushed his throat. Every muscle in his body locked. His wolf raged. His hands tightened on her waist, holding her still before he lost the last thread of control. You'll hate me tomorrow if I take you now. His voice was pure gravel. And I'd rather die than see regret in your eyes when you look at me. I won't. Lyric. He pulled back just enough to meet her gaze. His eyes were pure silver. When I make love to you, and I will, I want you to remember every second. I want you to choose me with a clear mind. Not because a heat is clouding your judgment. She stared at him, her chest heaving. You deserve that, he said quietly. You deserve to be chosen, not conquered. Something in her expression shattered. Fresh tears spilled over. But these weren't from pain. They were from something deeper. She buried her face in his chest and sobbed. Theron held her, his own eyes burning. He'd faced armies, survived assassination attempts, reclaimed a throne through blood and violence. But this, holding the woman he loved while denying what they both wanted, this was the hardest thing he'd ever done. When Lyric woke, sunlight streamed through the windows. The heat had passed. Her body felt wrung out, exhausted, but human again. Her wolf had settled, purring contentedly in the back of her mind. She was still in Theron's arms. He was awake, watching her. His eyes had returned to their normal gray-silver. He looked tired, strained, but present. I'm sorry. The words tumbled out. I didn't mean to. Theron cupped her face with one hand, his thumb brushing her cheek. Don't. You have nothing to apologize for. I practically threw myself at you. And I said no. Because when I make love to you, I want you to remember every second. I want you to choose me with a clear mind. Not because biology demanded it. Lyric's heart cracked open. No one had ever treated her like this. Like she mattered. Like her choices mattered. You stayed all night. Where else would I be? With anyone else. Anyone easier. Theron's expression softened. I don't want easier. I want you. The words settled over her like a warm blanket. Safe. Real. True. Thank you, she whispered. Theron leaned down, pressing his lips to her forehead. Not her mouth. Not claiming. Just tenderness. When you're ready, he murmured against her skin. Lyric closed her eyes. The bond hummed between them, satisfied. Content. Patient. For the first time in her life, she felt chosen. And maybe, just maybe, she was ready to choose him back. Would you have his restraint? Could you resist someone you've wanted for 20 years? Lady Seraphine had been patient. Patience was a virtue her family prized. They taught her young, the best strikes come from shadows, not sunlight. You smile. You bow. You wait. And when the moment arrives, you bury the blade so deep they never see it coming. The moment had arrived. She'd watched Theron carry that common-born nobody through the palace like she was precious. She'd heard the whispers, heat, bond, mate. She'd seen the way he looked at Lyric, like she hung the moon and commanded the stars. It made her sick. Theron Blackfang was meant to be hers. Her family had groomed her for this since birth. Queen. Power. Redemption for what her aunt had failed to accomplish 20 years ago. But that dirty little wolf had ruined everything. So Seraphine did what her bloodline did best. She poisoned the king. Theron collapsed during the council meeting. One moment he was standing at the head of the table, discussing trade routes with Elder Ronan. The next, his words slurred, his hand gripped the table edge, and he went down hard. Valdis was on his feet instantly. Call the healers. Now. Wolves scattered. Shouting filled the chamber. Theron convulsed on the floor, blood trickling from his nose, his eyes rolled back. 2 healers arrived within minutes. They tore open his shirt, pressed hands to his chest, muttered incantations meant to purge toxins. Nothing worked. What's wrong with him? Valdis demanded. The head healer, a thin man with gray streaks in his hair, looked up with fear in his eyes. Poison. But I don't recognize it. I've never seen anything act this fast. Then find someone who has. Lyric heard the commotion from 3 floors away. Shouting. Running footsteps. The metallic scent of fear flooding the palace like smoke. Then the bond hit her. Pain. Agony. Theron's life force flickering like a candle in the wind. She ran. Down corridors. Through doorways. Guards tried to stop her, but she shoved past them, her wolf surging to the surface. She didn't care about protocol. Didn't care about permission. Her mate was dying. She burst into the council chamber. Theron lay on the floor, surrounded by healers. His skin was gray. His breathing shallow. Blood leaked from his nose and ears. Theron, her voice broke. Valdis stepped in front of her, blocking her path. His expression was cold. Hard. You. Lyric froze. What? You've been in His Majesty's chambers every night. You have access. You have motive. And you're a healer, you would know how to poison someone undetected. The accusation struck her like a fist. No. I didn't. Arrest her. What? Lyric backed away, but guards closed in. I didn't do this. I would never. You're common born. You have no loyalty to this court. For all we know, you're a spy sent to kill him. Valdis's voice was loud enough for every wolf in the chamber to hear. Seize her. Take her to the dungeons. Hands grab her arms. Lyric fought, screaming. Let me go. He's dying. I can help him. You've done enough. They dragged her out. She thrashed, kicked, bit. But there were too many. Her wolf roared, but without training, without strength, she was powerless. The last thing she saw before the doors slammed shut was Theron's body, still and grey on the cold floor. The dungeon was everything she'd feared. Cold stone. Chains. Darkness so thick she could taste it. They threw her into a cell and locked the door with iron that burned when she touched it. Lyric sank to the floor, her hands shaking. Through the bond, she felt him dying. His life force was fading, slipping away like water through her fingers. She pressed her hand to her chest, gasping at the pain. It felt like her heart was being ripped out. Theron, she whispered. Please, don't leave me. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time lost meaning in the dark. Then footsteps echoed in the corridor. An old woman appeared outside her cell. Grey hair braided down her back. Eyes sharp despite her age. She carried no keys, no weapons. Just a leather satchel slung over her shoulder. You're Lyric Moonshadow. Lyric looked up. Who are you? Elder Myra. I've served this palace for 40 years. I delivered Theron when he was born. Healed him through childhood fevers. Watched him grow into a man. Why are you here? Because I know you didn't do this. Lyric's breath hitched. Then help me. Myra crouched outside the bars, studying her. The poison is Nightsbane. Rare. Deadly. It shuts down the organs one by one until the heart stops. Can it be cured? Not by conventional means. It's too fast. Too vicious. By the time we identify an antidote, he'll be dead. Lyric's hands clenched into fists. There has to be something. There is. But it requires you. What do you mean? Myra's eyes held hers. Nightsbane only grows in one place, the Seraphine family estate. Lady Seraphine is behind this. Rage flooded Lyric's veins. How do I prove it? You don't. Not yet. First, you save him. Then you deal with her. How? Myra pulled a key from her satchel. A mate bond healing. You draw the poison from his body into yours. Then you purge it using your healer abilities. I'm not a trained healer. I only helped my mother. Your bloodline is stronger than you know. Alira was descended from the moon healers, an ancient line thought extinct. You carry that gift. Myra unlocked the cell door. But I won't lie to you. This will hurt. It might kill you. Lyric stood, her legs unsteady. I don't care. Even if you survive, the court will still see you as guilty. Valdis will have you executed. I said I don't care. Lyric met her eyes. He saved me. Now I save him. Myra smiled. You're exactly what he needs. They moved through the palace like ghosts. Myra knew every hidden passage, every unguarded corridor. She led Lyric to Theron's chambers, dismissed the guards with a tone that brooked no argument, and locked the door behind them. Theron lay in his bed, deathly still. His chest barely rose. His skin was corpse-gray. Blood stained the pillow beneath his head. Lyric's heart shattered. She climbed onto the bed, pressing her hands to his chest. The bond flared weakly, struggling to stay alive. What do I do? She asked Myra. Open the bond completely. No barriers. No walls. Let it connect you fully. Lyric closed her eyes. She reached for the bond, tearing down every wall she'd built to protect herself. The connection surged, blazing to life. Pain hit her like lightning. She gasped, her body convulsing. The poison flooded into her through the bond, burning, twisting, destroying. It felt like her veins were on fire. Her organs screamed. Her wolf howled. But she didn't stop. She pulled the poison from Theron's body into hers, drawing it out like venom from a wound. His color improved slightly. His breathing deepened. But Lyric was dying. Blood trickled from her nose. Her vision blurred. Her hands shook violently. Purge it, Myra commanded. Use your gift. Lyric didn't know how. Didn't know what her gift even was. But desperation gave her focus. She reached deep inside herself, past the pain, past the fear. She found something glowing, a warmth that felt like her mother's hands, like moonlight on water. Healing. She channeled it. The warmth spread through her body, fighting the poison, burning it away, purging it molecule by molecule. The battle raged inside her. Poison versus gift. Death versus life. She was losing. Darkness crept into her vision. Her heartbeat stuttered. Her hands went limp. But she'd done it. The poison was gone. Theron's breathing was steady. His color returned. Lyric collapsed beside him, blood streaming from her nose and mouth. Worth it. Theron woke to silver moonlight streaming through his windows. He was alive. The pain was gone. His mind was clear. He turned his head. Lyric lay beside him, pale as death. Blood covered her face. Her breathing was shallow. Her eyes were closed. What did you do? His voice was hoarse. Her eyes fluttered open. Gray meeting silver. Saved you, she whispered. Then her eyes rolled back, and she collapsed completely. Theron caught her, his wolf roaring. Lyric, stay with me. She didn't respond. But through the bond, he felt it, the faintest flicker of life. She was still fighting. Theron pulled her against his chest, his hands shaking. Don't you dare die on me. Not after everything. Not after this. He pressed his forehead to hers, tears he'd never shed for anyone else falling freely. I love you, he whispered. Do you hear me? I love you. So you don't get to leave. 3 days after Lyric woke from her poisoning purge, Theron called an emergency assembly. Not a meeting. Not a gathering. An assembly, the kind that required every noble, every pack leader, every council member within 100 miles to attend or face charges of treason. The great hall filled until wolves stood shoulder to shoulder. The air crackled with tension. No one knew why they'd been summoned, but the look on the king's face promised blood. Theron stood at the head of the hall, his presence commanding absolute silence. Lyric sat beside him on a chair placed deliberately at his right, the queen's position, though she wore no crown yet. She was still weak, still pale, but she sat straight, her chin raised, refusing to show the exhaustion that threatened to pull her under. Lady Seraphine entered fashionably late, her crimson gown trailing behind her like spilled wine. She moved through the crowd with practiced grace, smiling at allies, nodding to supporters. She had no idea what was coming. Theron waited until every wolf was present. Then he spoke. 3 days ago, someone tried to kill me. The hall erupted in whispers. Theron let them talk for exactly 5 seconds before his growl cut through the noise like a blade. Silence. Instant obedience. The poison used was Night's Bane, a rare substance that only grows in one location in all the territories. Theron's eyes swept the crowd. The Seraphine family estate. All eyes turned to Lady Seraphine. She laughed, the sound light and dismissive. Your Majesty, surely you're not accusing me based on geography alone? Night's Bane may grow on my family's land, but that hardly makes me guilty of. I have a witness. Seraphine's smile faltered. Theron gestured. A young male wolf was brought forward, a servant, by his plain clothing. He looked terrified but determined. Tell them what you told me, Theron commanded. The servant swallowed hard. Lady Seraphine paid me to slip the poison into His Majesty's wine during the council meeting. She gave me 50 gold marks and promised I'd be rewarded when she became queen. Seraphine's composure cracked. His lying. This common filth would say anything for coin. Then explain this. Valdis stepped forward, holding a leather-bound ledger. His expression was cold. Financial records from your estate. Payments made to known assassins. Purchases of rare herbs and toxins. All dated within the last 6 months. Seraphine's face went white. You've been planning this, Theron said quietly. Dangerously. For months. You bribed servants. Hired killers. All because you believed you deserved a throne that was never yours to take. I deserve it more than that common-born whore. Seraphine's mask shattered completely. She pointed at Lyric. She's nothing. Nobody. She has no title, no training, no right to sit beside you. She saved my life. Theron's voice dropped to a lethal whisper. While you tried to end it. Seraphine realized her mistake too late. She looked around the hall, searching for allies. But every wolf who'd supported her now looked away. Association with treason meant death. She was alone. Theron stood. By ancient wolf law, attempted regicide is punishable by death. You will face the executioner at dawn. Seraphine fell to her knees. Please. Your Majesty. I was desperate. I only wanted to murder me and steal my throne. Yes, I heard. Theron's expression was stone. However, I will offer you one alternative. The same mercy my father once showed me. Seraphine looked up, hope flickering in her eyes. Exile. To the cursed wastelands. You will be stripped of your title, your lands, your name. You will survive on your own or die trying. If you ever set foot in my kingdom again, you will be executed on sight. The hall went silent. Exile to the cursed wastelands was considered worse than death. Nothing grew there. No prey survived there. It was a slow death sentence disguised as mercy. But Seraphine, desperate and delusional, nodded. I accept exile. She thought she could survive. Thought she could plot revenge from the shadows. Theron saw it in her eyes. Good. Let her try. The wastelands had a way of breaking even the strongest wolves. Take her. 2 guards moved forward, clasping iron chains around her wrists. She leaves at dawn. Seraphine was dragged from the hall, her screams echoing long after the doors slammed shut. Theron turned to face the assembly. Every wolf watched him, waiting. The air felt charged, like lightning about to strike. Lyric Moonshadow saved my life. Not once, but twice. His voice carried through the hall with absolute authority. 20 years ago, when I was dying in the snow, she fed me. Kept me warm. Gave me hope when I wanted death. Lyric's breath caught. She hadn't expected him to reveal this publicly. 3 days ago, when I was poisoned, she drew the toxin from my body into her own. She nearly died purging what should have killed me. Theron's eyes found hers. She has proven her worth, her loyalty, and her strength beyond question. He turned back to the assembly. I claim her as my mate, and I name her my queen. The hall erupted. Some wolves nodded approval. Others gasped. A few looked outraged. Valdez stepped forward. Your Majesty, with respect, she has no bloodline. No title. No training in ruling. She has my heart. Theron's voice cut through the noise. That's all the title she needs. But tradition. Tradition. Theron's eyes flashed silver. Tradition says a king may choose his queen. I choose her. Does anyone here wish to challenge my right to do so? Silence. No one dared. All eyes turned to Lyric. For 20 years, she'd been told she was nothing. Common. Worthless. Ashamed to be hidden. But sitting in that chair, feeling the weight of hundreds of stares, something shifted inside her. She wasn't that frightened girl anymore. She stood. Slowly. Her legs still weak, but her spine straight. She met Theron's gaze and saw everything in his eyes. Love, trust, hope. He was offering her a crown. A kingdom. A future she'd never dared imagine. She could refuse. Walk away. Return to obscurity and safety. Or she could claim what was hers. I accept. Her voice rang clear through the hall. No hesitation. No fear. Theron's expression transformed. Relief. Joy. Pride. He crossed to her in 3 strides, taking her hand. The bond flared between them, singing with completion. Then by the ancient laws of our kind, by the blood we share and the bond we honor, Theron raised their joined hands. I claim Lyric Moonshadow as my mate, my queen, my equal. The mating ceremony was performed immediately. No waiting. No delays. Theron wanted no question about Lyric's place at his side. Elder Ronan, as head of the council, officiated. His voice carried through the hall, reciting vows older than memory. Do you, Theron Blackfang, claim this woman as your mate? Will you protect her, honor her, stand beside her through blood and battle? I will. Do you, Lyric Moonshadow, claim this man as your mate? Will you protect him, honor him, stand beside him through blood and battle? Lyric's voice was steady. I will. Then complete the bond. Theron lifted her wrist, the one bearing the scar from 20 years ago. He looked into her eyes, asking permission one final time. She nodded. His teeth pierced her skin. Not painful. Euphoric. The bond exploded between them, flooding her with his emotions, love, devotion, fierce protection. Then it was her turn. She bit his wrist, her smaller teeth breaking skin. His blood touched her tongue, and the bond locked into place with a finality that left her breathless. They were one. Shift, Elder Ronan commanded. Lyric hesitated. She'd never fully shifted before. Her wolf had been dormant her entire life. But now, with the bond complete, her wolf rose with ease. The transformation was painless. Natural. Her body reshaped, bones relining, fur erupting across her skin. When it finished, she stood on 4 legs, white fur with silver markings catching the light. Beside her, Theron shifted. His wolf was massive, silver with black markings, easily twice her size. Power radiated from him. But he lowered his head to hers, nuzzling her gently. Equal. The hall erupted in howls. Every wolf in the room shifted, joining the chorus. The sound shook the rafters, a primal acknowledgement of their new queen. When they shifted back, Theron placed a crown on Lyric's head. Not ornate. Simple silver, forged in the shape of a crescent moon. All hail Queen Lyric Blackfang. The hall echoed. All hail the queen. Lyric stood beside Theron, wearing a crown she'd earned through sacrifice and strength. She wasn't common-born anymore. Wasn't nobody. She was queen. And anyone who doubted her would learn exactly what she was capable of. The royal chambers felt different when the doors closed behind them. Quieter. Heavier. The weight of what they'd just done, the public claiming, the ceremony, the vows, settled over Lyric like a cloak she wasn't sure she knew how to wear. Queen. The word still felt foreign on her tongue. Theron moved to the windows, pushing them open. Cool night air flooded the room, carrying the scent of night-blooming flowers from the gardens below. The moon hung full and silver, casting everything in ethereal light. He turned to face her. Lyric. She stood near the door, her hands clasped in front of her. The crown had been removed. The ceremonial gown replaced with something simpler. But she still felt exposed. You're nervous. Not a question. A statement. Yes. Theron crossed the room slowly, giving her time to retreat if she wanted. We don't have to do anything tonight. I want to. The words came out quickly. Too quickly. I'm just scared. Of me? Of disappointing you. Theron stopped in front of her. His hand lifted, cupping her face with a gentleness that made her throat tight. That's not possible. You don't know that. I do. His thumb brushed her cheek. Lyric, you've survived things that would have broken most wolves. You faced down nobles who wanted you dead. You pulled poison from my body and nearly died doing it. You stood in front of the entire court and claimed your place beside me. His eyes held hers. You could never disappoint me. That's not what I mean. She looked away. I've never. I mean, I have, but it was. Her voice broke. Understanding flashed across Theron's face. You've been hurt. It wasn't a question. He knew. Of course he knew. Lyric nodded, shame burning through her. My stepfather. Before Maris. He never went all the way. But he touched me. Made me feel like I was dirty. Like my body was something to be used. Theron's jaw clenched. His wolf flashed in his eyes, silver and furious. But his voice remained gentle. Where is he now? Dead. He died in a pack skirmish 5 years ago. Good. Because if he were alive, I'd kill him myself. The certainty in his voice should have frightened her. Instead, it made her feel protected. I want this, she said, meeting his eyes. I want you. I'm just afraid I'll freeze, or panic, or... Theron pressed his forehead to hers. If you change your mind at any point, we stop. No questions. No judgment. This is about us. About choosing each other. Not performing for anyone. Lyric's breath shut out. Okay. Tell me what you need. Slow. I need slow. Then slow is what you'll get. Theron took his time. He started with her hands, lifting them one at a time, pressing kisses to her knuckles, her palms, her wrists. The scar where he'd bitten her 20 years ago received special attention, his lips lingering there, reverent. Beautiful, he murmured. Lyric's heart hammered. It's just a scar. It's proof you saved me. He looked up at her. It's beautiful. He moved to her shoulders, sliding the fabric of her dress down slowly, asking permission with every movement. When she didn't stop him, he continued, revealing her collarbones, the slope of her shoulders, the curve of her arms. More scars. Marks from years of abuse, neglect, survival. Theron kissed every single one. This one, he asked, brushing his lips over a thin line on her shoulder. Maris. She hit me with a fire poker when I burned dinner. His jaw clenched, but his touch remained gentle. He kissed it again, longer this time. Like he could erase the memory with devotion. He continued his exploration. Each scar received attention. Each mark was honored. By the time her dress pooled at her feet, Lyric was trembling, not from fear, but from desire. No one had ever touched her like this. Like she was precious. Worthy of worship. Your turn, Theron said quietly. Lyric's hands shook as she reached for his shirt. He helped her, lifting it over his head. His torso was a map of violence, scars from battles, from assassins, from survival. She traced them with tentative fingers. Does it hurt? Not anymore. She leaned forward, pressing her lips to a scar over his heart. The one that matched hers. This one. The night we met, the poison had reached my heart. I thought I was dying. Lyric kissed it again. You didn't die. Because of you. She explored him the way he'd explored her. Learned the landscape of his body. Discovered what made his breath hitch, what made him close his eyes. When they finally came together, skin to skin, the bond roared to life. Theron laid her on the bed with a gentleness that contradicted his strength. He hovered over her, eyes searching hers. Still with me? Yes. Tell me if that changes. He kissed her. Not the chaste kiss from before. This was deeper. Hungrier. His tongue swept into her mouth, claiming her, and she responded with equal fervor. His hands mapped her body. Not grabbing. Not taking. Asking. Learning. When he touched her intimately, his eyes never left her face, watching for any sign of discomfort. There was none. Lyric arched into his touch, gasping. Theron. I've got you. When he finally entered her, it was slow. Controlled. Giving her time to adjust, to breathe, to accept. Okay. His voice was strained. More than okay. That was all the permission he needed. They moved together, finding a rhythm that felt ancient and new at once. The bond pulsed between them, amplifying every sensation. Lyric saw flashes of his memories, the boy dying in the snow, the man searching for her, the king who'd waited 20 years. Theron saw hers, the girl who saved a wolf, the woman who survived, the queen who chose him. Their emotions tangled. Love, devotion, need, trust. Lyric felt herself climbing higher, the pleasure building until she thought she'd shatter. Theron's hand found hers, their fingers interlocking. "Let go," he whispered. "I've got you." She did. The climax hit her like lightning, white-hot and overwhelming. She cried out, her body convulsing. Through the bond, she felt Theron's release a moment later, his own pleasure crashing over them both. At the height of it, his teeth found her neck. The traditional mate mark. He bit down, not hard enough to cause real pain, but enough to leave his claim. Lyric bit him back, her smaller teeth sinking into his shoulder. The bond snapped fully into place. It felt like the world rearranged itself. Like two halves finally becoming whole. Colors brightened. Sounds sharpened. She felt his heartbeat as clearly as her own. They collapsed together, trembling and overwhelmed. Minutes passed. Or hours. Time felt meaningless. Lyric curled into Theron's chest, her body humming with satisfaction. His arms wrapped around her, protective and gentle. "Are you okay?" His voice was rough. Lyric laughed softly. "More than okay." Relief flooded through the bond. "Good. Because I plan to do that again. Many times." Lyric felt heat rise to her cheeks. "I'm counting on it." Theron kissed her forehead, her temple, her jaw. "You're incredible, you know that." "I'm just me." "Exactly." He tilted her chin up, making her meet his eyes. "You're Lyric. My mate. My queen. The woman who saved me twice. You're everything." Tears pricked her eyes. "Happy ones. I love you." The words came easier than she expected. Because they were true. Somewhere between the auction house and this moment, she'd fallen completely. Theron's expression softened. "I love you. I've loved you since the moment you chose to save a dying wolf instead of leaving him to rot. Best decision I ever made. Second best." He smirked. "The first was saying yes to me in front of the entire court." Lyric laughed, swatting his chest playfully. "Confident, aren't you?" "I have reason to be. I won you." "You didn't win me. I chose you." "Even better." They lay tangled together, the bond humming contentedly between them. Outside, the moon continued its journey across the sky. Inside, two wolves who'd been broken and alone finally found their home. In each other. The completed bond changed everything. Lyric felt it immediately. She could sense Theron's emotions as clearly as her own. Could feel his presence even when he wasn't in the room. Their wolves communicated without words, a connection deeper than speech. She was stronger too. Her healing abilities, dormant for so long, surged to the surface. She could feel the life force of every wolf in the palace, sense injuries and illnesses. "Is this normal?" she asked, flexing her fingers. Energy crackled at her fingertips. Theron propped himself up on one elbow, watching her with fascination. "For a completed mate bond with a moon healer bloodline? I'd say yes. I don't know how to control it." "You'll learn. We have time." Time. The word felt precious. For so long, Lyric had lived day to day, surviving. Now she had a future. A mate. A kingdom. A purpose. "What happens now?" she asked. Theron pulled her closer. "Now, we rule together. We face whatever challenges come. We prove to the court that you're exactly what this kingdom needs. And if they don't accept me, they will. And if they don't, they'll answer to me." Lyric smiled. "My fierce protector. Always." She believed him. Believed in the bond. Believed in herself. For the first time in her life, Lyric Blackfang wasn't afraid of the future. She was ready to claim it. Could you imagine having that kind of trust? That kind of connection? Tell me in the comments if you believe in bonds that strong, because Lyric just proved they are real. If this story made you believe in second chances and chosen family, share it with someone who needs to know that healing is possible. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens in the next story. How was your day? Did anything make you feel as powerful as Lyric did when she finally chose herself? Because that's the energy we're carrying forward.